Capricorn, welcome to your September of 2015 horoscope. My name is Adam. So a very transformative month this month. We have those eclipses taking place, solar and lunar eclipses, total lunar eclipse later on in the month. Lots of the slow-moving planets, including your ruler Saturn, making some important aspects, which I'll talk about, and planets going retrograde and direct. So there's a lot going on. If you have any questions, please comment down below. Check out your weeklies if you don't already, because there I'll get more specific with these transits. But my job here is to just give a very general overview of when these transits are going exact and what areas are being impacted the most for you. And and we'll go through it step by step. If you are new to Sidereal Astrology, do check the description down below because this is very different from mainstream astrology. You'll probably find that your signs are different. And of course, I do recommend this for your ascendant sign for all of you. All right, Capricorn, so let's go ahead and look at this. We've got right on the first a conjunction between Mars and Venus over here in your 8th house. There's been a lot of activity in your 8th house, and this is where there's going to continue to be. This is also where we have that solar eclipse, so there's going to be some new beginnings here relating to the deeper aspects of life, how you can be more open, more transparent and vulnerable in your relationships with yourself. Go through the ebb and flows of life. See things for how they really are. Share the truth of what's really going on in the world. Share the truth of what's going on within you. And of course, you know, there's a privacy and there's a certain element of, privacy in our own personal lives, but the 8th house is the more open we do get within reason, then it does create more balance in relationships. It furthers relationships, helps them get deeper. It helps the material side of life. It helps us see that there's more to life than just the material surface level types of things. But yeah, that's the 8th house. Also, for some of you, maybe removing yourself from unhealthy bonds, maybe in relationships, or maybe unhealthy debts for some of you. In the financial side of things. So it's going to be different for each of you, but what I'm going to cover here will be enough information for you to apply it to your own personal life. But this conjunction here, Venus and Mars, is happening right on the cusp between your 7th and your 8th. So perhaps you guys have been reflecting on your self-expression, maybe redoing the way you express yourself or create things, maybe redoing your work and career. That's always the case with Venus going retrograde. And through that, I think there's going to be a strong motivation coming into this month, and that's going to be mostly seen from Mars, who's going to be conjuncting Venus. This is very powerful, very passionate energy here. But going into Leo finally, Mars hasn't been in a friendly sign for a long time. And this is always the case. And Mars first goes into Leo after such a dormant period, especially being debilitated in Cancer. This is where that Mars energy really starts to get excited and get moving, and all of our energy levels start to increase because what we pursue and put energy into flows a lot easier. And that certainly is the case, at least this first half of the month, which I'll talk about. But a strong inspiration. I think the inspiration here for you is to, again, get deeper, to share, to get involved with the deeper aspects of life, maybe to, again, create healthy attachments, healthy bonds. And that's where your intentions will certainly find the most energy and momentum. So it's a strong start to the month, very passionate. You can also be very motivated in terms of career and also in terms of your self-expression this month, since Venus does rule those areas. And I think you can enjoy maybe groups and networking or community-related things, as well as maybe the home and family. Maybe some new things shaping up with that as well, since Mars rules the 11th and 4th house for you. But definitely the strongest emphasis will be on the 8th, which is at least you seeing the truth of how you feel, what's going on in the depth, and how to expose that, at least with yourself on that inner level. So that's the first. Also on the first, the sun does oppose up to Neptune. So there is this balancing act between the more material financial side of things, which has been important for you to trust, have faith, go with the flow with those types of things. And remembering that, like I was saying, there's this, deeper aspect of life. This is the traditional axis that has to do with that we don't have, total control over every aspect of life, especially in the material side of things. In other words, in order to gain, resources and finances, we have to be okay with losing them. We have to have non-attachment. We have to have that, again, detached perspective. So that's one way of facilitating more of the financial stuff for you on that level. But on the level with the 8th house, it's also not going too deep, with that watery stuff and getting all caught up into the emotions and not applying it on a practical level. This is where your self-esteem and things like that can begin to gain momentum and drive when you are seeing things on that deeper level. So, and there's a healing process that takes place from a result of that as well. So it's the classic example of balancing the material and the non-material, the things that we have control over, the things that we don't, and that kind of thing, and even self and other to a degree as well. So some things to keep in mind, and then through the simple pleasures too, through relaxation, the good meal, the hot bath, that kind of stuff, you'll find that relaxing you very much, as I'm sure you have been over the past many years, or at least could be, because that's Neptune in the second house of your senses, helping balance out a lot of this motivational energy to do more of the deeper things in life. So that's right on the 1st, and then on the 5th and 6th, like I said, Venus is going to go station direct. So a lot of those things that you were reflecting on with career and with self-expression will start to move forward, will start to be implemented again, maybe in that deeper way where it's exposing more of the truth of who you are and that openness. And you can enjoy that. That's Venus in the 8th house. You can certainly enjoy these things while setting strong intentions with it, with Mars. So that's the early part of the month. And then 7th, 8th, and 9th, Mars does trine up to Uranus. So here, more inspiration, more drive to get involved with whatever these 8th house things. 8th house might also be shared resources too. You know, this is where, for those of you who are in a relationship where there's shared resources, it's depending on others a little bit more. It's realizing that we don't have to do everything on our own, especially in the material side of things. We can gain help, we can get help, we can be open to that, and get more involved with everything else that is non-material in the relationships. So that's one way of looking at it, but whatever it is, you know, there's this constant momentum. And with this opposition, or excuse me, with this trine up from Uranus, this is all coming from your 3rd house. So over the past many years, and this whole eclipsing energy from this early part of 2015 has been hopefully freeing up your communications and freeing up your mind, helping you see new ways of looking at things. Maybe there's been a lot of information coming at you lately for the past many years, 5 years at least. But there's also some old thinking patterns, some old ideals that are just no longer serving. So that's been this transformational energy, and all of that freeing energy is supporting you with this deeper stuff. So what I do recommend is continue to learn, share, communicate, exchange, and you'll find all of that very supportive towards getting into these 8th house matters and really prolonging them. This can be opportunities, inheritance maybe for some of you, money coming in from, you know, others, that's 8th house, things of that nature could be possible. But again, it's more watery in nature. It has more to do with the transformational elements of life. Now, from the 11th through the 17th, we got a couple things taking place. Mercury is going to be sextiling Venus. So I think you can enjoy philosophy, spirituality, astrology, travel, perhaps, things like that. Can be an opportunity with that, and you can enjoy that. That's going to be that sextile. And do think about this stuff. You know, think about how you can open your horizons, expand more. You know, maybe reading that philosophy book, you know, learning more about astrology, divination, things like that, praying. You know, this is the connection to, you know, to the higher realm. So with that, you can learn quite a bit. And this is more importantly your life path, because the North Node has been transiting this 9th house for you over the past 2 years to hopefully help you have more, you know, to see more possibilities in your life and to tap more into the unknown realm, you know, because the South Node's been the 3rd house, so there's a lot of things being released from the analytical, practical side of your mind to allow you to get more into the more spiritual, philosophical, expansive parts of life. So on a practical level, it might be, again, traveling, you know, university studies, things of that nature, maybe connecting abroad, etc. And you'll find that facilitating your life path. So I do recommend those things, but I think you'll enjoy it nonetheless. Now, Jupiter does oppose up to Neptune this middle part as well, 13th through the 21st. And so here, just like with the sun, balancing the deeper with the more material, and with Jupiter, is that you guys should be feeling at least very optimistic to do this transformational stuff, or, you know, to get deeper, etc., which is great. And that's where all of your opportunities are right now at the moment. But again, balancing that with Neptune is trying to get too carried away. Obviously, a lot of you will probably be sharing the truth, spreading the truth about life and what's really going on in the world. So stay grounded. You know, this is especially the Christed Buddhic connection of the present moment, and with compassion, your connection to God, which will help facilitate this sharing of truth, or exposing of truth for you. Now on the 13th, we've got that solar eclipse in your 8th house. So this is the first solar eclipse of this part of your chart. in a very long time. And so now this is going to start the new series of eclipses here. And this is all about the deeper connection. So the new moon energy, the solar eclipse energy, is all about going within. It's reflective. The energies are lower around this 13th. It's eclipsing, so we're able to see what's going on internally. So reflect around this time, and then as the month the month starts to unfold and the coming months start to unfold, you'll be able to apply a lot of this energy into that 8th house. Again, how you can share, be open, see the truth, share the truth, etc. But always a good idea during this time to take more of the internal, introverted approach to it. But then as the month unfolds, obviously putting energy into that as well. On the 17th, Mercury goes retrograde. So I think you guys might be reflecting on redoing your philosophy, redoing spiritual studies, rethinking things like astrology and divination and just your overall outlook on life. So be open to that. And I think going into October, you guys can learn quite a bit about where your life is going, where you're headed. But during this retrograde, be open to, treating it as a learning process. Be willing to mix it up, change it up, and rework the way you normally see things. A lot of you are going to be going through a revolution of your perspectives on life, as it has been the case for the past couple of years. But that'll continue this month. Now, the sun does go into your 9th house, so I think you guys will be more intent on the expansive, adventurous spirits of life. So focusing on that, again, facilitating your life path will be the case with the sun. I think there's a good inspiration shifting the second half of the month for you guys to open your horizons. Now, from the 18th into October, Saturn is going to be sextiling up to the North Node. So your ruler sextiling the North Node, this means very significant life path possibilities. The sextile is only openings for you. So my best advice with this is any hard work that you guys have been putting in the career front over the past 2 years in particular, continue with that. That's going to be what's going to be facilitating more of this opening of your horizons. And it's a mutual relationship. So you really want both. The 9th house is everything that we have to understand about life and about ourselves in order to share it, which is the 10th house. It's our work, it's our career, our legacy. But, it's really understanding that our work and our legacy is a spiritual pursuit. It is something that comes from the higher realms, if you will. And, there is a sort of unfoldment, about it that's almost karmic or destiny. That's the 10th house being implemented from the 9th. So some things there to remember. And I think naturally through, having those open possibilities, you'll be able to implement more energy into your work as well. Such as reading the philosophy books, such as maybe doing some traveling, etc. Connecting to people abroad would be another good way of working with that. Now, the next thing from the 23rd through the 27th, we've got a conjunction. Well, we've got a few things taking place. The sun will be conjuncting up to the North Node, so more things unfolding for you with the 9th house. And over the next couple of months, you're going to notice more energy going into that 9th for sure. And this is all coming from these life path changes this month. Now, the 24th to the 27th has Mars squaring up to your ruler. So here with this, we're all going to be sort of coming to our first major challenges with this, in this case for you, 8th house energy. So if you're intent, you're discovering the truth or whatever you're doing here, it's being patient with it, taking it slow, the second half of the month in particular. Squares from, as you know, your ruler is about patience. It's about discipline. It's about grounding that energy. And it's that classic 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. So although there's going to be, maybe some things where you have to work extra hard or you have to be patient and wait, that kind of thing, testing your perseverance, you can accomplish quite a bit during this time. And for you Capricorns, because Saturn is your ruler, this will actually be easier for you compared to most others because you already have that strong Saturn energy as part of your personality. So you guys naturally have that discipline and perseverance. So, but keep in mind, that if you do run into any frustrations or delays, to just stay patient but continuously work at it, because you can accomplish quite a bit. Again, whether it's debts, finances, your work, your career, any of these particular 8th and 10th house areas. Maybe even with finances, Saturn rules your 2nd, and also with groups and networking, anything you're doing on that level, or home and family stuff, patience with that as well. And this is especially around the 24th to the 27th. Pluto goes station direct here in your 12th house. So over the past 6 months, for those of you who've been learning more about spiritual things in life and the importance of rest and relaxation, which has been Pluto retrograde in your 12th house. Now stepping into your power here this later part of the month and making some serious changes about having more rest, connecting to God, having more of that alone time. You know, whatever's spiritual to you, this is Pluto helping you really step into your power here and take control of that particular area of your life. So, you know, we're not in a victim mode, because otherwise, if we resist that, then it feels like changes are happening to us, and that's never a good thing. When we're open to change, we become the agent of change, then Pluto's energy becomes very powerful in a very seemingly positive way, although it's always very positive. So that's Pluto stationed direct in your 12th house. And that's it for the slow-moving planets. Now, we do have that lunar eclipse on the 27th through the 28th in your 3rd house. So you guys are coming into, just as you have been, more new insights and more culminations of anything that you've been involved with of the mind. So think back to around the May time period of this year. If there's anything new you started around this time period, maybe you started taking a course, maybe you started writing a book, maybe you started communicating a whole lot more, thinking more, you know, your perspective on life may have been changing. And so all of that is now coming to a culmination point here at the end of the month, and it's a very spiritual full moon. It's happening, or lunar eclipse, it's happening in Pisces. And so it's illuminating, you know, your mind. It's illuminating your conscious, rational mind, your practical mind. So around this time period, it can be a culmination of those things, but more importantly, it's an awareness of how you can really apply things on a practical level, how you can, you know, communicate more effectively, more efficiently, write, you know, that kind of thing. And what you'll find is through this, you're able to see very clearly not only the practical, but also the possibilities, because that's seen from the 9th house, which is opposite the 3rd. So classic balancing possibilities with practical, philosophical with rational, and bringing those two together so that you can ground a lot of this life path expansion energy into your day-to-day environment, so that, again, you have a much stronger practical energy about you. But there are a lot of things, like I was saying, that you're releasing about the practical stuff. So be open to release there, but you should have an awareness of both and a whole new perspective of you know, spirituality, which is always the case for Pisces in your 3rd house, but really on how you see life in general. So that's going to be a very powerful lunar eclipse. That's what the whole month is going to be building towards. And I think being open mentally, you know, to new possibilities, maybe even new philosophies and things like that, be a good way of working with this. Now that's it. And then on the 30th, we do have a Mercury conjuncting up to the Sun. So again, facilitating more new beginnings for you in regards to that 9th house of adventure, philosophy, and life path. All right, Capricorn. So I hope you guys have a good one. If you have any questions, please comment down below. If you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe. If you'd like a personal reading, click the link down below. And I will talk to you all next time. Take care.